It was an ordinary day on Earth, with nothing out of the ordinary in sight. People were going about their business, some commuting to work, others enjoying the quiet morning at home. The sun was shining, and the streets were busy with the usual noise of cars, buses, and chatter. Families sat down to breakfast, and the world seemed peaceful. However, far beyond Earth's atmosphere, a storm was quietly brewing, one that would change everything. In the vast emptiness of space, a powerful alien empire, the Excellenary, was preparing to launch an invasion. For years, they had watched Earth from afar, observing its progress. They saw humans as primitive, struggling with technology they considered outdated, and viewed the planet as little more than a blip in the galaxy. The Excellenary were known for their brutal conquests across the stars, having wiped out entire civilizations they deemed too weak to survive. Earth, in their eyes, was no different. The Excellenary had developed ships that could travel at speeds that were beyond human comprehension, equipped with cloaking technology and weapons capable of destroying entire cities with a single blast. They believed that Earth posed no real threat, that humanity's greatest weapons were no match for their superior technology. Their mission was simple: disable Earth's defenses, claim the planet, and add it to their ever-growing empire. A massive warship, the flagship of the Excellenary fleet, loomed in orbit around Earth. Cloaked to avoid detection, the ship silently watched over the planet, its hull glinting with cold, metallic brilliance. Inside, the alien commanders discussed their plan. The lead commander, General Zoreth, was confident that Earth would fall without a single shot fired. He had no doubt that their superior technology would crush the humans without breaking a sweat. The plan was to disable Earth's communication satellites first, rendering the planet unable to respond to their invasion. From the command bridge, Zoreth stared at Earth, mocking the planet's apparent weakness. "Look at them," he said to his officers, pointing to the bustling world below. "A primitive species. This will be no challenge at all." While they observed, far below on the surface, Earth's global defense systems remained quietly operational. The humans, unbeknownst to the Excellenary, had been preparing for a day like this for years. They had developed their own advanced technology, systems designed to protect their planet from extraterrestrial threats. These systems were hidden in plain sight, under the radar of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. No one, not even the Excellenary, realized how advanced Earth had become. Suddenly, the alien ship's cloaking device flickered. For a moment, there was a strange, quiet hum in the air as Earth's defense system kicked into action. A series of satellites orbiting Earth detected the massive vessel in their space and sent a signal to Earth's military network. Earth's defense system had identified the threat, and it was ready to respond. Without warning, a pulse of energy, far stronger than the Excellenary could have anticipated, shot into space. A massive electromagnetic pulse, EMP, wave slammed into the alien ship, disabling its cloaking system in an instant. The once invisible ship became visible to Earth's eyes, its sleek, dark surface now illuminated by the bright glow of Earth's defense satellites. The surprise was complete. Inside the Excellenary warship, panic erupted. General Zoreth had underestimated humanity. "What is this?" he roared as his officers scrambled to assess the situation. The alien ship was now exposed, vulnerable to Earth's counterattacks. Their superior technology had failed them. The Excellenary had made a critical mistake. Back on Earth, the defense systems were in full swing. The pulse from Earth's satellites had momentarily stunned the alien ship, but now it was time for the next phase of defense. Earth's military was ready. In an instant, the sky above the planet was filled with thousands of automated drones, armed with weapons designed specifically to take down alien invaders. These drones, along with the planet's advanced fighter jets, were already in position to launch an immediate response. The Excellenary quickly recovered from the EMP shock, but it was too late. Earth's response was swift and efficient. The first alien strike came, But it wasn't what Zorath expected. A massive energy beam shot down from the alien warship, targeting Earth's communication satellites, aiming to cut off the planet's ability to communicate. The beam hit its mark, causing a massive explosion that sent a shockwave across the globe. Cities from New York to Tokyo experienced blackouts as the alien forces began their attack in full force. On the ground, chaos erupted. People scrambled to find answers, but there were none to give. The lights flickered, communication lines went down, and panic spread across the globe. The world's governments scrambled to respond to the unexpected attack. But as the world fell into confusion, one figure remained calm. Captain Ethan Blackwood, leader of an elite team of soldiers, stood in the middle of a command center deep underground. His jaw clenched as he stared at the map of Earth's defenses. "Prepare for counterattack," he ordered, his voice steady. "Get the drones in the air. I want our fighter jets ready for launch." Ethan had been trained for moments like this, though he never imagined he'd face an invasion from an alien empire. His team, known for their ability to carry out dangerous and high-stakes missions, was about to face the greatest challenge of their lives. They were Earth's best hope against a seemingly unstoppable force. As the countdown began, Ethan's mind raced. Earth had never fought an enemy like the Excellenary before, but he knew one thing: humanity would not go down without a fight. The human spirit, he believed, was stronger than any weapon or alien force the universe could throw at them. "Ready the defenses," Ethan commanded once again, his voice sharp. "We'll show them why they shouldn't have provoked us." With a single order, the counterattack began. Fighter jets roared into the sky, leaving behind streaks of smoke as they rocketed toward the alien ships. Thousands of drones followed, each armed with the latest technology designed to take down the invaders. But the battle wouldn't be easy. The Excellenary were powerful, their ships far more advanced than anything Earth had. And yet, the humans pressed on. As the first wave of drones engaged the Excellenary ship, it was clear that the fight was just beginning. The humans were facing an enemy that was stronger, faster, and more technologically advanced. But there was something that the Excellenary didn't understand. The humans didn't give up easily. They had something that the aliens could never replicate: the will to fight, to protect their home, and to stand against impossible odds. Ethan watched as his drones engaged the alien warship. The battle was heating up, and he knew it was only a matter of time before the real fighting began. The humans had launched their first wave, but they were up against a force far greater than they had ever faced before. The Excellenary would not surrender easily, and they were not the kind of enemies who could be defeated by conventional means. Cliffhanger. As the battle continued to unfold, Ethan knew one thing for certain: the fate of Earth rested on their ability to defeat the Excellenary. He issued one final command: "We fight until the end." The first wave of battle had begun, and humanity's survival was on the line. The stakes had been set, and Earth's fate hung in the balance. Would humanity stand tall and fight back against the overwhelming alien force? Or would the Excellenary prove too powerful to defeat? The answers would come soon, but for now, the fate of the planet was uncertain. The world watched in suspense as the first shots of the battle echoed through the stars. The Excellenary were confident. They had always been. Their empire stretched across galaxies, and they had conquered countless worlds without resistance. Their technology was unmatched, their ships cloaked and invisible, and their weapons could vaporize entire cities in seconds. They saw Earth as a minor threat, a primitive planet that would be crushed without any real effort. But what they didn't expect was the strength of the human spirit. The first wave of battle had shown the Excellenary that Earth was not as weak as they thought. The humans had quickly launched their counterattacks, and despite the alien ship's superior power, Earth's defenses were doing more than just holding their ground. The alien warships were being forced to retreat in some sectors. Human fighter jets and drones, though outnumbered and outgunned, were relentless. They used every advantage, from cloaking technology to advanced energy weapons, to fight back with everything they had. General Zorith, the commander of the Accelerary Fleet, watched in disbelief as Earth's forces continued to push back. His own ships were being damaged, their cloaking devices failing to protect them from Earth's countermeasures. This was not the swift, easy conquest he had envisioned. The humans were fighting back with an intensity he couldn't understand. They should have folded by now, Zorith muttered under his breath. They should have. But the humans weren't giving up. They were adapting quickly, using guerrilla tactics that left the Accelerary in constant surprise. The human forces were small, but they fought like they had nothing to lose. And in truth, they didn't. Their planet was under attack, and they would do whatever it took to protect it. Ethan Blackwood, leader of the elite human squad, was at the heart of the resistance. He and his team of soldiers, each equipped with the latest technology, had been tasked with one of the most dangerous missions of all, infiltrating the heart of the Accelerary Fleet. Ethan's team was unlike any other. Each member was specially trained, highly skilled, and armed to the teeth. They wore anti-gravity armor that allowed them to move faster and more freely in zero gravity. Their high-tech laser guns were powerful enough to melt through the alien armor, and they had cloaking technology of their own, making them almost invisible to enemy sensors. They were humanity's best hope, and they knew the risks. They were about to board an alien ship, deep within the enemy fleet, and strike directly at the heart of the Accelerary. The mission was simple: infiltrate one of the enemy vessels, sabotage its core systems, and gather any valuable intelligence. But the truth was, nothing was simple when facing an enemy like the Accelerary. Their ships were massive, their technology advanced, and their warriors were fierce. But for Ethan and his team, failure was not an option. As the team boarded the alien vessel, they moved silently through the corridors. The ship was dark, the only light coming from the flickering overhead panels. The sound of footsteps was swallowed by the hum of alien machinery. Every shadow felt like a threat, every corner hiding an unseen danger. The atmosphere was tense, but the team remained focused. Their mission depended on staying hidden, avoiding detection at all costs. They navigated through the ship's complex layout, moving silently but with purpose. The alien vessel was unlike anything they had ever seen. Its walls were smooth and cold, lined with strange, glowing symbols. The technology was advanced, far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. The air was thick with the scent of strange alien metals and something faintly mechanical. But the Accelerary were not without their defenses. As the team pushed deeper into the ship, they encountered alien warriors patrolling the corridors. The first confrontation was swift. Ethan's team had the element of surprise, and they used it to their advantage. Laser fire lit up the dark corridors as the team clashed with the alien warriors. Despite being outnumbered, the human soldiers were trained for close-quarters combat. Their agility, enhanced by their anti-gravity armor, gave them a distinct advantage in the low-gravity environment of the alien ship. The battle was intense. The aliens fought with brutal efficiency, their plasma weapons slicing through the air. But the human soldiers were resilient. They fought with a determination born of necessity, the need to protect their families, their homes, and their planet. Every move was calculated, every shot precise. They moved through the ship with speed and precision, neutralizing the alien warriors one by one. As they advanced deeper into the ship, the team was met with more resistance. The Accelerary warriors were tough, but the humans were tougher. Yet even with their superior training, the odds were not in their favor. The ship was vast, and there were many more warriors than the team had anticipated. The humans pressed on, knowing they had no choice. It was during one of these battles that tragedy struck. Bonner, one of Ethan's closest soldiers and a trusted friend, was caught in a fierce firefight. The team had made it to the heart of the ship, where they were preparing to disable the main systems when the alien forces launched a full-scale counterattack. Bonner was one of the first to engage, holding back the enemy to buy the rest of the team time to complete their mission. "Go!" Bonner shouted, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "I got this. Just finish the mission." Ethan hesitated for a moment, but Bonner's words snapped him back to reality. "Stay safe," Ethan replied, though he knew the danger. Bonner was left behind as the rest of the team pushed forward. The sound of plasma fire and the crackling of laser guns echoed through the corridors as Ethan and the others made their way to the ship's core. They were on a tight timeline, and they couldn't afford to lose any more time. Bonner's sacrifice allowed them to continue, but it came at a great cost. It wasn't until later that they realized just how much Bonner had given. When they returned to the ship's control room, the news came through. Bonner had fought valiantly, taking down several alien warriors before he was finally overwhelmed. His death was a blow to the team, but it was also a reminder of why they were fighting, why they had to win. Bonner's death was the emotional core of the mission. He had been more than just a soldier. He was a friend, a brother in arms. His sacrifice weighed heavily on the team, but it also fueled their determination. They were not just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for him, for their fallen comrades, and for their planet. The team pressed on, but the image of Bonner's sacrifice stayed with them, burning in their minds as they continued their mission. The alien warriors they fought in the tight, dark corridors seemed almost irrelevant compared to the loss they had suffered. The battle escalated. As the human soldiers infiltrated deeper into the alien vessel, the visuals became even more intense. The flickering lights of the ship cast long shadows, and the sounds of laser fire and alien screeches filled the air. The close-quarters combat grew fiercer with every passing minute. But even as the HFY threw everything they had at the human team, the humans refused to back down. Their mission wasn't just about defeating the aliens. It was about proving that Earth would not be conquered, no matter the cost. It was about showing the HFY that they had underestimated the strength of the human spirit, and that no matter how advanced their technology, they would never break humanity's resolve. The team fought their way to the heart of the ship, and as they disabled the alien systems, the HFY fleet began to falter. The tides were turning, but the cost was high. The first victory had been achieved, but the road ahead was still filled with danger. And as Ethan looked out over the battlefield, he knew that Bonner's sacrifice was just the beginning of the war. The HFY had made a mistake underestimating humanity, and they would soon learn that the humans would fight to the very last breath to protect their planet. The war had taken a brutal turn. The HFY, despite their earlier underestimation, were relentless. After their fleet was pushed back by Earth's defenses, they retaliated with a weapon of unimaginable power. They had kept it hidden, a doomsday device capable of destroying entire planets. The Star Crusher, as it was called, was launched toward Earth's sun. The goal was clear: collapse the sun into a supernova, wiping out all life on Earth in a massive explosion. The HFY had done their research. They knew that the destruction of Earth's sun would signal the end for humanity. As Earth watched helplessly, the countdown to disaster began. The HFY had set their plan into motion. The death of the sun, and with it, the destruction of Earth, was imminent. Humanity had never faced such a threat. The entire world was in chaos as governments and military forces scrambled to find a solution. But the situation was grim. No one had the technology to stop the doomsday device, and even if they did, the HFY fleet was too powerful. Earth's defenses were no match for the might of their invaders. Ethan Blackwood and his team knew that they couldn't wait for the inevitable. They had to find a solution, and fast. Time was running out. Ethan, the leader of the human resistance, was a man driven by a singular purpose: to protect Earth at all costs. His mind raced with the possibilities. The last hope of humanity lay in the hands of a long-lost secret, a weapon that might hold the power to turn the tide against the HFY. Ethan had heard rumors about a forgotten weapon, an ancient human warship prototype that was said to be lost in the depths of space. It was a myth to most, a story passed down through whispers and legends, but Ethan knew that if the ship was real, it might just be the key to saving humanity. The warship was rumored to have been designed during humanity's early exploration of space, a massive vessel with unimaginable firepower, cloaking technology, and AI-powered systems far beyond anything the XL Neri had ever seen. If they could find it and activate it, Earth's resistance might have a fighting chance. Without hesitation, Ethan gathered his team. They would go to the edges of known space, to a forgotten moon where the warship was said to be hidden. The team was ready, though the mission was fraught with danger. They knew that every minute they spent searching for the ship brought Earth closer to destruction, but they also knew there was no other option. They couldn't afford to fail. The journey to the forgotten moon took them deep into space, far beyond the reaches of Earth's known territory. The cold vastness of space surrounded them as they traveled through uncharted regions. The moon was located in a remote system, hidden from any radar or satellite scans. It was as if it had been deliberately placed out of reach, forgotten by time, and lost to history. But now, it was their last hope. As they arrived, the moon was desolate, covered in craters. Its surface was barren, with no sign of life. It seemed like any other dead rock floating in the void. But to Ethan and his team, it held something much more valuable, the key to their survival. The warship was supposed to be buried beneath the surface, hidden away in an ancient bunker. The coordinates had been passed down through generations, but no one had ever been able to confirm them. Until now, the team made their way to the moon's surface, their ship landing in a rocky valley. The air was thin, and the ground was covered in dust. They began their search, scanning the surface for any signs of the hidden facility. Hours passed with little progress. But then, just as they were about to lose hope, one of the scanners beeped. The buried facility was located deep beneath the moon's surface, and they had finally found it. With renewed determination, the team activated their mining equipment and began to drill down into the moon's crust. The process was slow and dangerous, as they had to avoid triggering any alarms or traps set by whoever had hidden the warship. As they dug deeper, the tension in the air grew. They knew the clock was ticking. Every moment spent on this moon brought them closer to the point of no return. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the team broke through to the hidden facility. They descended into the depths of the moon, entering a vast underground complex. The facility was abandoned, long forgotten, but the warship was still there. It was massive, bigger than anything they had ever seen. The ship was dormant, its systems offline, but it was intact. The crew was in awe. They had found what they had been searching for. The warship was unlike anything humanity had ever built. It was sleek, with a design that seemed to blend organic and mechanical elements. The hull shimmered with a metallic sheen, and the ship's core glowed with a faint, almost otherworldly light. The team wasted no time in getting to work. They began the process of powering up the warship's systems, hoping that the technology would still function after all these years. As they worked, Ethan couldn't help but marvel at the ship's advanced capabilities. The AI systems were far beyond anything humanity had created. It could think, adapt, and learn. The shields were impenetrable, able to withstand even the most powerful weapons. The cloaking devices were more advanced than anything the XL Neri had, allowing the warship to become completely invisible to enemy sensors. And the weapons, Ethan could hardly believe it. The warship's weapons were capable of destroying entire fleets with a single blast. It was the ultimate weapon, and it was humanity's last chance. But their discovery came with a price. As the team worked to power up the warship, they were ambushed. The XL Neri had tracked them. They had known that Earth's resistance might find the warship, and they had already sent a squadron of elite soldiers to stop them. The team was ambushed by alien forces and their AI-controlled drones, which swarmed the underground complex with terrifying precision. The battle was fierce. The humans were outnumbered, but they had one advantage: the warship. As the battle raged around them, Ethan and his team fought with everything they had, holding off the alien forces while they worked to bring the ship online. But the pressure was mounting. Every minute they spent fighting meant more time for the HFY to destroy Earth. The clock was ticking. As the warship's systems finally powered up, the team's hearts raced. The ship's AI came online, and with it, the ship's defenses activated. The energy shields flared to life, protecting the crew from the aliens' plasma fire. The cloaking device engaged, rendering the warship invisible to enemy sensors. And the weapons, massive energy cannons, charged with immense power, ready to obliterate anything in their path. The battle for the warship became a race against time. Ethan and his team fought to keep the HFY at bay while the ship's systems activated. They couldn't afford to lose now, not with Earth's fate hanging in the balance. The warship was humanity's last hope, and they had to keep it safe long enough to launch it into space and stop the HFY. As the battle intensified, Ethan could feel the weight of the moment. This was it. The warship was ready, and now they had to use it to save Earth. The clock was running out, but with the warship now in their hands, the humans had a fighting chance. The warship was alive, with its powerful AI and advanced technology now fully activated. Ethan Blackwood and his team stood ready for the final assault on the HFY mothership. This was it, the decisive battle for Earth's survival. The weapon they had uncovered from the depths of space was their only hope, and they could not afford to waste any time. The clock was ticking down toward the supernova that would obliterate their planet, and there was no room for error. Ethan stood at the command station of the warship, staring at the view of the HFY mothership, a colossal ship that loomed in the distance. The Star Crusher device, their doomsday weapon, was still being deployed, its destructive power ready to destroy Earth's sun and bring about the extinction of humanity. The moment was heavy with the weight of what was at stake. Earth was facing total annihilation. The HFY, with their superior technology and deadly weapons, were not an enemy to be underestimated. But Ethan's resolve was unshakable. He knew the fate of humanity rested on his shoulders and those of his team. Ready to launch, Captain, his first officer, Sergeant Harris, reported from the bridge. The team had already prepared the warship for battle, and they were poised to strike. Ethan nodded, his eyes steely. "Let's go. It's time to take back our planet." With that command, the warship lurched forward, cloaked and invisible to the HFY forces. The ship's advanced cloaking technology allowed them to approach the mothership undetected, but Ethan knew it wouldn't last long. The HFY were bound to detect them eventually. As they neared the mothership, they could see the massive, menacing shape of the Star Crusher, the deadly weapon that threatened to destroy everything. It was located at the heart of the HFY ship, surrounded by layers of defenses. This would not be easy. The first wave of HFY forces came at them almost immediately. Robots and AI-controlled drones flooded the area, their advanced weaponry lighting up the space around them. But Ethan's team was ready. Using their own cloaking tech, they were able to stay one step ahead, striking when the aliens least expected it. With laser guns in hand, they engaged the alien forces in a brutal firefight. The corridors of the mothership were filled with the shriek of blasters and the thud of explosions as human and alien forces clashed in violent combat. But despite their advanced technology, the HFY were not easily defeated. They kept coming, wave after wave of robotic soldiers, drones, and alien warriors. The battle was chaotic, with blasts of energy ricocheting off the walls and sparks flying in every direction. Ethan led his team through the halls of the mothership, taking down enemy after enemy, but each victory came at a cost. The HFY were relentless, and no matter how many they took down, there was always more. The emotional stakes were higher than ever. The loss of their comrades weighed heavily on Ethan and his team. They were fighting not just for their survival, but for the honor of those who had already fallen. Each soldier knew that their loved ones and friends were counting on them to succeed. But despite the odds, there was no turning back. They had come too far, and they would not let the sacrifices of their fallen comrades be in vain. As they pushed deeper into the mothership, The team encountered increasingly dangerous resistance. The aliens were prepared for them. The corridors grew narrower, the enemy stronger. The tension in the air was palpable as Ethan's team fought their way to the heart of the ship, where the Star Crusher was being activated. It was during one of these intense battles that tragedy struck again. Sophia, one of Ethan's closest friends and most trusted soldiers, was killed in action. She had always been the one to push the team forward with her optimism and courage, but now she was gone. The alien forces had caught her in a surprise ambush, and despite her best efforts to fight back, she was overwhelmed. Her death hit the team hard. Ethan felt the loss deeply. Sophia was not just a soldier, she was family. Her sacrifice was a painful reminder of the cost of war. Ethan's heart ached with the loss of his friend, but he knew there was no time to mourn. The mission had to continue. The warship's progress could not be delayed. With a heavy heart, Ethan ordered the team to move forward. For Sophia, he whispered, clenching his fists. The pain of her loss fueled his determination. The battle inside the mothership grew even more brutal. The walls reverberated with the sounds of explosions and the hiss of laser fire. The alien forces fought tooth and nail to protect their weapon, but the humans were relentless. They had come too far to fail now. The team advanced, taking out enemy after enemy with surgical precision. But the deeper they went, the more difficult it became to stay one step ahead. The alien forces were adapting to their tactics, and the AI drones grew smarter with every encounter. In one particularly heated clash, the team found themselves cornered in a narrow corridor. The aliens had anticipated their movements, and the passage was now filled with enemy drones and armed soldiers. Ethan's team fought valiantly, using all their resources to hold off the attacking forces. The cloaking tech gave them some advantage, but it wasn't enough to keep the tide from turning. Every second felt like an eternity, as blasts from the alien weapons narrowly missed them. It was in the midst of this chaos that Ethan's voice rang out, cutting through the mayhem. We have to get to the core. We have to stop that weapon before it's too late. His words were a rallying cry, and the team, fueled by the memory of their fallen comrades, pushed forward with renewed determination. The final confrontation with the Excellenary was at hand, and there was no turning back now. Every step they took brought them closer to the core of the mothership, where the Star Crusher device was being activated. Finally, they reached the central chamber, the heart of the mothership. The Star Crusher was there, a massive glowing device that hummed with lethal energy. But it wasn't just the device they had to worry about. The Excellenary leaders were there as well, standing between them and their target. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and Ethan knew that this would be the final stand. The battle that ensued was nothing short of chaotic. Explosions rocked the room, and laser blasts lit up the dark corridors. The team engaged the Excellenary leaders in close combat, each strike carrying the weight of their mission and the memory of their fallen comrades. Ethan, with his weapon drawn, led the charge. His heart raced with adrenaline, but his mind remained focused. He had to finish this, for Sophia, for Bonner, and for everyone back on Earth. As the battle reached its climax, Ethan found himself face to face with the leader of the Excellenary. The alien commander was tall, imposing, and full of malice. But Ethan was resolute. With a final, powerful blow, he struck down the alien commander, signaling the end of the Excellenary's reign of terror. With the leader defeated, the remaining Excellenary forces fell apart. The Star Crusher device, now without its protectors, was vulnerable. The team rushed to disable it, knowing that they had only moments before the countdown reached 0. Ethan's hand shook as he worked to deactivate the weapon, but he didn't stop. With one final push, the countdown halted. The supernova was averted. Exhausted, bloodied, and battered, Ethan and his team stood victorious. They had saved Earth, but the cost was high. They had lost friends, comrades, and loved ones along the way. As they looked at the fallen, Excellenary forces, there was no celebration. Only the quiet, solemn recognition of what they had done. They had struck back, and humanity had triumphed. But it had come at a great price, and as they stood together, they knew that the battle for Earth was far from over. The team moved quickly through the heart of the alien mothership, their footsteps echoing in the quiet metal halls. The air was heavy with tension, and the hum of the ship's systems filled the silence. Each member of Ethan's team was focused, their eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of danger. But there was no time for hesitation. Time was running out, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. They were getting closer to the Star Crusher device, the weapon capable of obliterating their sun and destroying all life on Earth. The closer they got, the more their hearts raced. This was it, the final confrontation. When they arrived at the central chamber, they were met with a horrifying sight. The Star Crusher was already online, glowing ominously with lethal energy. The countdown had begun, and the device was primed to launch toward the sun. Ethan could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He had led his team through countless battles, and now, in the heart of the enemy ship, he knew that this was the most critical fight of his life. But as he surveyed the room, his eyes met a figure standing tall at the far end of the chamber, General Zorath, the leader of the Excellenary. Zorath was everything Ethan had imagined and more. He was imposing, a towering alien with sharp, angular features, his armor glinting in the dim light of the chamber. His eyes glowed with a cold, calculating intelligence. Ethan's blood ran cold as Zorath's voice boomed across the room. "You really think you can stop me, human?" Zorath taunted, his voice deep and mocking. "You are too weak. Your species is too fragile. You could never hope to defeat us." Ethan gritted his teeth. He had heard the taunts before. The Excellenary had always underestimated humanity, and it had cost them. But now, there was no time for words. The countdown was ticking away, and each second brought them closer to the destruction of Earth. "You'll see just how wrong you are," Ethan replied, his voice steady despite the mounting pressure. He had no intention of letting Zorath's arrogance shake him. His team was ready, and they had come too far to back down now. But as Ethan studied the Star Crusher device, he realized something terrifying. The weapon was already in motion, and there was no way to stop it without destroying the core of the mothership itself. The thought hit him like a hammer. If they destroyed the core, the entire ship would collapse, taking them with it. His mind raced as he considered their options. There was no easy way out. Destroying the core meant certain death for him and his team, but it was the only way to stop the weapon and save Earth. The weight of the decision pressed down on him like 1,000 tons. "Captain, we can't stop the weapon without taking out the core," Surgeon Harris said, his voice grim as he analyzed the situation. "If we do this, we'll never make it out alive." Ethan looked around at his team. They were all hardened soldiers, ready to sacrifice everything for the cause. Each one of them had fought through unimaginable odds to get to this point, and now they were faced with the ultimate sacrifice. "We don't have a choice," Ethan said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his insides. "We stop that weapon, or Earth dies. We'll make sure humanity survives, no matter the cost." The team exchanged looks, their faces a mix of determination and resignation. They knew what needed to be done. No one hesitated. They had all come this far, and they would see it through to the end. But just as they prepared to make their move, the battle began. Zorath, sensing their intent, ordered his forces to attack. The room was suddenly filled with alien soldiers, robotic drones, and automated defense systems. The team was surrounded. The flickering lights and the blaring alarms only added to the chaos. Every corridor was filled with enemy soldiers, and the air crackled with the hum of energy blasts as the fight erupted in full force. Ethan and his team were ready. They moved quickly, engaging the alien forces with precision. Their weapons fired in synchronized bursts, cutting down the robotic drones and alien soldiers that swarmed around them. The cloaking devices on their suits allowed them to stay one step ahead, appearing and disappearing in the blink of an eye. But the Excellenary were relentless, and their forces seemed endless. As the battle raged on, The team fought their way toward the core of the mothership. Ethan's mind was focused, calculating every move, but he could feel the tension mounting. With each passing minute, the countdown grew closer to its final moments. Every step they took brought them closer to the inevitable sacrifice. The stakes were higher than ever before. If they didn't succeed, Earth would be lost. In the midst of the chaos, Ethan shared a final moment with his remaining team members. They fought side by side, covering each other's backs as they pushed deeper into the enemy ship. The air was thick with the smell of smoke and the acrid scent of burning metal. But despite the carnage around them, Ethan took a moment to speak with his team. "Whatever happens," he said, his voice quiet but firm, "we did our duty. We fought for our people, for our home. And no matter what, humanity will never be defeated. We'll make sure the legacy of Earth lives on, even if we don't make it out." Sergeant Harris, his face bloodied but resolute, nodded. "We're with you, Captain. All the way." The bond between them was unbreakable. They were more than just soldiers, they were family. And this final mission, this final sacrifice, would be their gift to Earth, to their loved ones, and to all of humanity. They were willing to give everything for the survival of their world. As they reached the heart of the mothership, they found themselves face to face with Zoreth and the remaining Xelanari forces. The final showdown had begun. The alien general stood there, his cold eyes fixed on Ethan, knowing that this was their last stand. The room was filled with tension as the two sides faced each other. "You fought well, human," Zoreth said, his voice laced with disdain. "But it ends here." Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. This was it, the moment that would decide everything. With a roar, he charged forward, his weapon raised, ready to strike. The battle that followed was a blur of energy blasts, the screech of metal, and the sound of gunfire. The team moved in unison, pushing forward despite the overwhelming odds. They fought for their lives, for their world, for each other. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Ethan reached the core. He knew what needed to be done. With a final, desperate effort, he activated the detonator that would destroy the heart of the mothership. The core began to destabilize, sending shockwaves through the ship. Zoreth roared in fury, but it was too late. The countdown to launch had been stopped. As the ship began to collapse, Ethan and his team knew that they had done it. The weapon was neutralized, and Earth was saved. But as the ship shook around them, Ethan couldn't help but feel the weight of the sacrifice they had made. They had saved humanity, but at the cost of their own lives. In those final moments, Ethan's thoughts were with his team. They had fought together, and they had won. As the ship crumbled around them, they shared one last moment, standing together as a family, knowing that their legacy would live on. Humanity had struck back, and they had won. The explosion rippled through the heart of the Xelanari mothership, sending shockwaves that reverberated through the metal structure like a giant drum. Inside, the core of the ship began to collapse, the once mighty walls now buckling under the immense pressure. Ethan's team had done it. They had detonated the explosives deep inside the ship, ensuring that the Star Crusher weapon was destroyed just moments before it could fire. The earth-shaking blast was proof of their success, but the cost of this victory was far greater than any of them could have imagined. As the mothership's core collapsed, the ship shook violently. Sparks flew, and the once brilliant lights of the alien ship flickered, quickly being swallowed by the darkness of space. Ethan and his team stood at the heart of the chaos, adrenaline pumping through their veins, hearts racing as they knew this was their final stand. The walls around them groaned. The ship was dying, and they could only hold on for so long before it collapsed completely. Outside the mothership, Ethan's warship hovered, ready for action. It had been their last lifeline, the one thing that had given them a fighting chance. The warship was their hope. The advanced technology, cloaking devices, and powerful weaponry had been their only means of survival. It was now their weapon against the Xelanari's brutal assault. And just as they had hoped, it would also be their salvation. In the distance, General Zoreth, the ruthless leader of the XL, stood at the command of his own flagship. He had been watching everything unfold through his ship's advanced sensors, his cold eyes narrowing as the destruction of the mothership began. Zoreth's eyes filled with fury, knowing that the humans had outwitted him. He had underestimated them, and now he was facing the consequences of his arrogance. In a last-ditch effort to escape, Zoreth turned toward his ship's emergency systems, preparing to leave the collapsing mothership behind. His escape was already underway when he saw a flash in the distance. Ethan's warship, cloaked and hidden, emerged from the shadows. Before Zoreth could react, Ethan's ship launched a powerful barrage of fire. The massive energy blasts hit Zoreth's flagship with devastating force, ripping through its shields and tearing apart its structure. Zoreth's escape was cut short as his ship was obliterated in a fiery explosion. The shockwave from the blast reached the mothership, causing even more destruction. General Zoreth, the man who had planned to wipe out Earth, was gone, reduced to nothing but debris floating in space. The XL fleet, now leaderless, turned and retreated, realizing that they had severely underestimated humanity's ability to fight back. Their numbers had been vast, their technology advanced, but in the end, it was humanity's will to survive that had been the deciding factor.